Welcome back to Cootie Connection. Thanks so much for joining us as we're focusing on the arts for this episode. Joining us is Chris from Sultans of String, that wonderful band that they've played a variety of times here in the Bay Area region, and they're coming to the Old Church Theatre in Trenton on June 30th. So Chris, great to meet you. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks a lot for having me on the show.
It's great to highlight Sultans of String back on the program. We've talked about you guys for a number of years. You do that wonderful holiday show. What's going to be the lineup for the Old Church Theatre show at the end of June? What's kind of the setting here, or the theme, I guess I should say?
Well, we're pretty excited about this because it's one of our very favorite places to play. It's really, as a musician, you really look out for these wonderful spots where you have such a great connection with the audience. And there's nothing like playing for Old Church out in the backyard on the patio with the wood fire oven blazing away. And I'm also excited about this show because we've done a lot of really complicated projects that I've just been very much loving over the last few years. But we're going to bring it back down to the original Sultans of String trio for this one, which is special in a different way because we spent the last 20 years traveling back and forth across this country dozens of times, meeting incredible people and seeing just the most amazing spots in Canada. And so these songs are going to be highlighting some of the people and places and stories that we've gathered in our travels. And I'm thinking about Luna the Whale from the west coast of Canada, the Sable Island from the east coast where the wild horses run free, beautiful songs about the Arctic up north, and pretty much everything in between.
You're on tour all June long. Is there a specific area of Canada that you haven't been before that you're going to explore maybe on later on this year?
Well, I feel pretty lucky as a musician. It is a great way to explore the country and the world. And I feel very fortunate that we've been right across the country from coast to coast to coast. I think it's also really fun to play in our own backyard, so to speak. So being in Ontario for the month of June is a great place to be. And it's going to be myself on violin and Kevin Laliberte on guitar, who is just the most amazing guitar player I've ever had the opportunity to play with. He's performed around the globe with artists like Jesse Cook and across Canada with the Chieftains. And then on bass, we've got Drew Burston, who's performed with literally hundreds of jazz artists as well as big pop artists like Chantal Kreviazek on the big stage.
What's the state of music in Canada, you think, especially now coming out of the lockdowns and the pandemic? Because it's so great to see you and a number of staple bands in Canadian music coming back with full tours now.
I think for us, it's just the most beautiful rebirth of the music scene. We did a very hard pivot to online programmings. We were doing sometimes a couple of live streams a day for everything from folk music series to educational institutions and schools. And I did love it. There's nothing more fun than waking up and 5 minutes later you can be in your own Zoom room beaming out to the world. But the kind of connection you can get with a live audience is second to none. And the audience is really like the fourth member of the band, because without them, we're just playing for ourselves. But with them, it's so much fun. We get them singing along and clapping along. And that's really where the heart of the show is.
For people who haven't heard about Sultans of Strings, could you describe your kind of music for us? You briefly described your career earlier on.
Yeah, we take in influences from around the globe. So everything from Cuban salsa rhythms, rumba flamenca from southern Spain, Django-jazz from Eastern Europe, Arabic rhythms from my heritage. My last name would have been pronounced Mahul and kept from Mishki, Lebanon. We really enjoy, having a wide palette of styles. It's kind of like having a lot of paints in your paint box. And with each song tells a story, right? Even though most of it is instrumental music, but we're really trying to tell a story, and being able to draw on all these different influences gives us a lot of variety to choose from. And it makes it really fun for us and interesting for our audience as well.
Do you have plans to go back in the studio and record some more stuff after this string of dates?
Well, funny you should ask. We did just record and release an album called Walking Through the Fire, which is a tremendously, outrageously fun project with Indigenous artists from right across the country. And we've been touring that quite a bit. I feel like the next album might be based more on this trio that I'm talking about, because I want people to also be able to really tune into Kevin's guitar playing and the layers and the loops that he can do, as well as Drew's really tasty bass playing and some fun surprises on violin too. So I think we might bring it back down a little bit for the next album.
Once again, Chris from Sultans of Strings heading to the Old Church Theatre in Quinte West on June 30th. Safe travels, Chris. Really appreciate the time.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the patio.